used to think back now, I mean now whenever it's kind of too much coverage, too much information, and it's actually hard to kind of decipher as to what's what and what's worth reading or what's worth believing. But obviously back in the the mid 80s, I came from, my first job after school was DJing, and then the first proper job was actually writing for Blues and Soul magazine. So I came from kind of that background, so I always had a strong kind of sympathy towards those that promoted the cause. I think, and what I'd kind of managed to do when I was writing for Blues and Soul was they used to write about soul music, and kind of nobody was writing about clubbing, so I was kind of one of the first people, partly inspired by Paulie Yates, funny enough, to write, because she used to write his column for Record Mirror, which is about socialising. So I kind of stole that and actually wrote about clubbing. And I think when Mixmag came along, there was two sides to it. There was the kind of James Hamilton almost, BPM, kind of that was actually vital information back then, of what speed a record was. I know it's so stupid now, but that's what you used to grab it for. Almost more important than whether it was any good or not. And Mixmag, celebrated clubbing really properly for the first time. I mean, it obviously did write about the artists of the day, but it started to create, in a way, DJ culture. And it was right place, right time. Early 80s, you kind of mishmash of scenes all kind of finding their way. Rap had started, Def Jam had arrived, bands like Spandau Ballet, strongly leaning on kind of, the soul scene, the club scene of the day. Rare Groove exploding. It was like me and Nicky Holloway running around doing like do's at the zoo and do's at the Natural History Museum. And then obviously a couple of years later, then the start of Acid House and the whole, the rave culture ensuing and blah, blah, blah. So it's, Mixmag was there to report on all that before anyone else did. And that's probably the biggest reason why it's kind of iconic in terms of dance music, and that's why it's managed to survive. I'm one of these people who do so many things you're almost guilty of forgetting, until someone puts something in front of you and reminds you what you did. But I'd never forget going to New York for the first time, and I always wanted to live there and I never managed to live there. I must have been there, must have 200 odd passport stamps with New York entry, but never managed to spend more than a week or two there. But clubbing there was, I was lucky enough, right place, right time, got taken to the garage before it closed. And Body and Soul and Mark Kamen's club, Danceteria, with Madonna dancing, and it was, I think the one that I think the hedonism of dance music and the kind of general euphoria of dance music and the kind of punkiness of dance music has come from the UK, but I think a lot of the beauty and the soul and the art and the kind of that intelligence that you're seeking, that risk taking, that really comes from New York. And I've been lucky. I did Millennium Night for Cream in Liverpool. Live with me forever. I think our own Love Parade, before it all went pear-shaped at Leeds, Roundhay Park, on stage with Darren Emerson and Sasha at the end was mad. 200,000 people. It's one of the biggest crowd I've ever really played to in the UK, or ever likely to really. And I think I was one of the first English DJs they let on the Monument at the end of Berlin Love Parade as well, which was there's a million people. There's so many people you can't even comprehend that they can't even obviously hear you, but you're playing up there. And so yeah, I mean, dance. The whole thing's been really good to me. Ibiza, obviously, you could tell a million stories. But